So this is part 2. The Farm Bureau, a lobbying group that represents the agricultural industry, urged the governor to veto the bill and pursue regulations, the approach he ultimately adopted. A spokesperson for the New York Farm Bureau told Bloomberg Environment that the governor's veto showed he understands that there are new threats from invasive species to agriculture production, and a permanent legislative ban would have ruled out a future use of chlorpyrifos, should it be needed. Human Rights Watch opposes any use of chlorpyrifos given the evidence of its dangers to human health. Human Rights Watch has documented the exposure of children and workers to toxic substances in a range of countries including Bangladesh, Brazil, China, Indonesia, Kenya, Zimbabwe. In the U.S., Human Rights Watch found the children working in agriculture are often exposed to pesticides and reported acute health effects after exposure, which are vomiting, nausea, dizziness, and headaches. Pesticide exposure is harmful for farm workers of all ages, but children are uniquely vulnerable because their bodies and brains are still developing. Research has shown chlorpyrifos to be particularly harmful to human health. Prenatal exposure has been linked to autism spectrum disorder, reduced IQ, learning disabilities, memory and attention in children and adults, linked to cancer and Parkinson's disease. Again, they admit this for these poisons, but not for the ones that are injected into people, which is interesting. Prior to the governor's announcement, chlorpyrifos was approved for dozens of uses, including on food crops such as apples, corn, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, and on golf courses too. Wow, that's interesting. While the Trump administration disregards science and refuses to ban chlorpyrifos, oh, here they go with their attacks. It's like, if you're going to attack people, well, guess what? They're being ridiculous because they're just going to use other pesticides that are poisonous in the place of this anyway. Oh, Trump is bad and Cuomo is good. The good and the bad. They're both bad. Anyways, Governor Cuomo and New York's leader are fighting to protect the public from a pesticide that can cause serious and irreparable harm. President Trump should follow suit and ban this toxic chemical. Okay, so there's that. Oops, and I was looking also at, let's see here, New York farmers' reaction to the state ban. They did aerial spraying too. It says, while aerial spraying will be banned immediately, legislators have amended the bill to delay a ban on spraying tree trunks due to pushback from New York's apple farmers. They say there isn't an easy alternative on the market to tackle an aggressive new beetle species. Anytime there is government action to ban pesticides like this that are in common usage in farms, there's always kind of a scramble to find a good replacement, said Tim Dressel, manager of Dressel Farms in New Paltz. We've had to adapt many times in the past few years, and it always ended up being more complicated and costing more money. Studies have associated the chemical with low birth weights, learning problems, yada yada. So, it says, meanwhile, New York's beekeepers, who play an integral role in the state's apple production, have been complaining about the chemical for years. Apple growers rely on honeybees to cross-pollinate the fruit, which gives apples their sweet flavor and round shape. Chlorpyrifos makes the bees unable to do what they do, said Jim Doan of Doan Honey Farms. It causes disorientation, lack of appetite, and makes them unable to raise their young. That shortens their lifespan, and any shortening of a bee's life costs you money. A bee's average lifespan without chlorpyrifos is already short, about 55 days. Chemical companies have had 10 years to find something else, Doan said. The problem has been that in some cases, the chemical companies remove the product or limit the sales of it. The science is very clear. Chlorpyrifos is a known neurotoxin. Unfortunately, this administration is very frequently siding with polluters in industry rather than public health. Organic farmers note that they have found ways to grow hundreds of types of crops without using pesticides. So that should be interesting. Oh, what's this? That's interesting. I clicked on that link and sent me to something about the V's. All right. And I wanted to look at this article real quick on crop life. Oh, great. I have to go scroll down to what I wanted to show you guys. Because the problem is, what are they going to use in place of that one poison that they're taking out? Let's see here. For corn and soybean growers who use Lorsban to control... No, I don't want to read that. Hold on one second, guys. In that context, the importance of chlorpyrifos has increased as an option for application to resistant soybean aphid populations. So they're using this on the soybeans. Alternate products take longer to exert control, so your management approach has to change. One of the challenges we face with the current economic situation is that it tends to work against investing a lot of effort in scouting. Sometimes these infestations are detected later than farmers would like, and they're looking for a quick rescue. Reliable alternatives to chlorpyrifos, she noted, include ectosaxole from Valent, which is labeled for corn and soybean and targets eggs and immatures of spider mites, as well as Agrimec from Syngenta, which is labeled for soybean and targets mite eggs. Products containing older chemistries like a pyrethroid or an organic phosphate are also options for spider mite control in corn and soybean. Tillman observed that rotating among different classes of pesticide is a very useful tool to combat development of resistance. So I just want to say something about rotating, right? Because the book I'm reading, Silent Spring, they talk about how it's even more toxic to rotate these poisons because it makes it even more toxic. The soup that it creates when you mix all of them together, which will eventually happen, yeah. And when it gets down into the groundwater as well. It says in California, the end of guys, this word is hurting me here. Will profoundly impact alfalfa, integrated pest management, pest resistance. So they're concerned about these beetles, alfalfa weevils. Okay. And then lastly, I just wanted to point out on the New York website here, they spray stuff every year in the Bronx. So for mosquitoes, they say to supposedly prevent the West Nile and Zika. So they spray in the Bronx neighborhoods, Brooklyn, and in September as well. Queens, okay. So wow, they spray multiple times within a year. Oh, okay, maybe it's just different zip codes, excuse me. I got that wrong. But yeah, Staten Island, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, okay. And then they show, they'll show you every year, Mosquito Control 2021. So I just wanted to show you guys that.